Joe Biden is compromised because of his family's corrupt dealings in Ukraine and Russia and China. So the question is, are the Republicans, if they take over control in Congress, as it increasingly looks like they will, at least on the House side, will they require the Justice Department to appoint a special counsel? And will they hold Garland accountable for the abuse of power, as I call it, the abuse of the use of force against Trump and other American citizens? And that might require impeachment. You know, people are talking about impeaching Biden, but in my view, there's a lot of folks to be impeached. And, you know, given the difficulty of the Republicans in Congress, assuming they take control in getting Biden to sign anything that advances their priorities in significant ways, they could do worse than to spend their time holding the administration accountable and going through the exercise of impeachment to express the displeasure of the American people over the abuse of offices by Biden and his associates in the administration. You have, I mean, we could just spend an entire show and every show from here on in talking about the invasion. 5 million illegal aliens crossing the border, being led into the country by Joe Biden, and countless others who aren't even, who just walk in without even being stopped. An invasion like this country has never seen before in its history. And it's a purposeful, it's the result of purposeful failures to enforce the rule of law in a way, in my view, that is so contrary to Biden's oath of office that it requires his impeachment and removal. That's if the Congress is willing to do its job. And on top of that, you have, and it bears repeating, you have on the one hand, you have President Trump having his home raided based on this pretend dispute over documents. And on the other hand, you've got Hunter Biden being protected, Joe Biden being protected by the same Justice Department. So Trump gets harassed, Hunter gets protected. And in the middle are the American people whose concerns about the equal application of the rule of law are completely ignored by the Biden administration. So that's the crisis. And what Judicial Watch tries to do, obviously, besides talk about it a little bit, is pressure the Justice Department and the various agencies with requests for information about what's going on, suing in court to find out what's going on. And hopefully by exposing the corruption, it adds to the knowledge of the American people about the truth, but also makes it more difficult for government officials to escape doing their responsibilities and performing their duties as they're obligated to under the law. And we saw that, for instance, with the Clinton email scandal. I recall that, you know, it was Judicial Watch that was actually leading the way for the FBI investigation. Now, I know the FBI investigation in many ways was wired, but it would never have happened but for Judicial Watch. In fact, they were using our FOIA documents to question witnesses. And they were following our lead. We'd ask the court to question witnesses, and then the Justice Department would say, oh yeah, we want to question those witnesses too. It was so obvious what was going on. So don't underestimate how important our leadership is in directing and pressing the Justice Department and the FBI and Congress and frankly the dishonest media in covering these issues and pursuing them as they're supposed to. And so Judicial Watch has taken a lead there. I've talked about our several lawsuits. More are coming. But we've got this crisis because of Biden corruption, and it's a deadly dangerous crisis in the guise as it relates to national security, because we're, you know, as the media refuses to tell you, I'm going to remind you, Joe Biden is compromised because of his family's corrupt dealings in Ukraine and Russia and China. As a result of his being compromised, you can be sure that the leaders of Russia, like Putin, and the dictator of China, think they can do whatever they need to do to advance their country's interests because they know that Biden's on the take and he's in their back pocket. And so you had Russia invade Ukraine because they didn't take because they didn't take Biden seriously. And China's engaged in adventurism as well. So this corruption hamstrings our ability to protect and project our national security. So corruption matters. And the media won't tell you that. But when you have Joe Biden talking about us being near Armageddon, or he wasn't telling us, he was telling his big donors the other day, because of Russia threats of using nuclear weapons in Ukraine and who knows where else, you would think someone would ask, well, how did we get here? How did we get here? We got here because there is an administration in this town that has been compromised by Russia money and has little moral authority or even street cred with the Russians and the Ukrainians as a result. And so things are out of control. So I took a few minutes to share that with you because I guarantee you won't hear it anywhere else, even though you know it's true. So Judicial Watch will continue investigating on all of those issues, Ukraine, Russia, and China, and the Bidens being compromised there, because you can bet no one else is going to do it. And even if Congress gets changed to Republicans, to Republican control, you can bet there'll be large, I shouldn't say you can bet. They won't be as successful as you might think in getting information from the Biden administration, that's for sure. And if the past is any indication of the future, Judicial Watch will continue to lead the way in that regard. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.